From the ruins of a large-scale episode of black mob violence at a mall near Buffalo, New York, in Cheektowaga, New York, there rises a hero, Mark Palunkers. Palunkers is lean, has a strong jaw, clear gaze. He sits lean in the saddle. He's the county executive up in Buffalo, which I think is Erie County. Anyway, a lot of people, including us here, including me, we were pointing out the fact that they had a large-scale episode of black mob violence in a mall in Cheektowaga, New York, outside of Buffalo, on the day after Christmas, which, as everyone knows, is the first day of Kwanzaa. And we also said, A, that's happened at that mall before. B, it's happened in Buffalo before, a lot. And C, it was happening in malls all around the country. We documented at least 6 without even looking for them. Remember, we didn't say there were 6. We documented there were 6. Anyway, into this chaos stepped Mark Palunkers to set the universe back to right. Anybody, said Mark Palunkers, who looked at these hundreds and hundreds of black people fighting, destroying property, defying police, threatening people at the Walden Galleria Mall, was pure racist. And he went on and he went on and on. Kind of became a thing up there. I will always call out racism and bigotry in our community, but racism can only be defeated when we call it out, all of us. Kudos to Monica. We're going to meet Monica in a minute. Monica something, Kinder Care, something like that. And others for stating what needs to be said. We are a better community than the few bigots who live among us, but we can only be the best community we can be when we stand up and call out those who would divide us. I hope you will join me in the task, as Monica did. So, Palunkers' partner in this enterprise of bringing truth and light and divinity back to Buffalo is Monica Boyd Elderkin. She started seeing all these posts, including some of our stuff we posted here, and Monica came back and said, listen, at every Bills game I've ever gone to, I have been seeing multiple fights with people cheering them on. I have walked across a parking lot and gotten sucker punched by a drunk girl. I have had stuff stolen from me in the parking lot. And she goes on and on to say, apparently white crime is out of control in Buffalo, but nobody is paying any attention to that now, are they? Well, this was received pretty well. A lot of people chimed in and said, yeah, I remember, but it's all happening all the time in Buffalo. And then, of course, reason prevailed, and a lot of people checked in and said, if that's happening in Buffalo, could you, show us show us? Because if it's happening in Buffalo, that means there are victims, videos, 911 calls, police reports, witnesses, all kinds of stuff going on. And so if white people are rampaging through Buffalo, creating all this crime and violence to equal the crime and violence that the fellas and their lovely ladies are creating, surely there's got to be something to show for it. And, dozens of people were saying that in these different forums in Buffalo. Finally, one person seized the challenge and said, here, what about this? What about this fight at this Buffalo Bills game? And they produced a video that was 5 years old. Which, kind of proves our point, right? Anyway, why don't we recap some of this stuff from Chautauqua, and while we finish up this video. We've done a lot of stuff in the Buffalo area. I remember one of the very first stories we did in Buffalo was outside of Buffalo. It was in a shopping center, and there was a movie theater there, and about 100 to 200 fellas and their lovely ladies were in the movie theater. And I think it was one of these scary movies, opening night. And I did a video on it. It's in my book. I think this one's in White Girl Bleed a Lot. And they were fighting inside the theater, attacking patrons, destroying property, defying police, defying the property owners, the whole deal. And on video, lots of police came, and boom, and they broke it up. Here's what I remember about that incident very clearly. So they had 100 to 200 fellas out there and their lovely ladies in the suburbs, and the only way they got out there was take the bus. The cops called, the cops called like a dozen buses, and they picked up the fellas and their lovely ladies, put them on the bus. No, they did not take them to jail for rioting. They took them home, back to the ghettos of Buffalo. And the next Buffalo story I remember is also documented in my books. Documented. These are, talking about videos. In one of the colleges in Buffalo, a bunch of fellas were having a little fun with the white students at the colleges, i.e. they were tracking them down and beating the hell out of them on a regular basis right outside of campus. So it became a thing. Everybody was going, hey, what's up with that? Why can't we send our kids to school there without worrying if they're going to be the victims of this ridiculous violence in Buffalo? So the black police chief from Buffalo came up and he explained it all to us. The black police chief said, well, these are kids from the suburban areas of New York that come to an urban environment, and they just kind of have to learn how to exist in an urban environment. Wow. So that's the story from Buffalo, where they're kind of elevating this denial, deceit, and delusion, not just to an art form, but to a religion. I mean, there's no doubt when you look at this video, there's no doubt what's going on and who's responsible for it. Now, the people in Buffalo, this guy Polankars and this lovely lady, Monica, whatever her name is, they're saying the fact that everybody was in the mall was causing this havoc, the fact that they were black was just one big coincidence, which means to me, they never studied, they never got over 6th or 7th or 8th grade mathematics. Ask any statistician what the chances are of 100 people of the same central organizing feature just happened to meet at the same time, the same place, and do the same thing. That's like a statistical impossibility. This isn't just Buffalo. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on in upstate New York. Buffalo, Rochester, Utica, Albany. Black crime and violence is wildly out of proportion, as is the denial, deceit, and delusion of the people who run the newspapers, who run the local governments. They're just totally locked in on pretending nothing is going on here. And, the best thing about that, of course, the worst thing, it does make Buffalo much more dangerous than it has to be. But at least it doesn't make the black kids angry.